Hey YouTube, this is Sherm coming back to you from DR. I haven't been on in a while, but I've been listening and watching, and I want to say thank you to all of my fellow YouTubers, our fellow activists who are doing such a great job in identifying, the Jehovah's Witnesses as a false religion. We've all been through a lot, and it's great to see that we have so many people out there willing to help and support others who are going through probably what we went through already, and could use some support in their journey of freeing themselves from the mental slavery that has been inflicted on us by the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. So I want to say thank you, and to whoever may be looking to free themselves, keep up the good work. It's well worth it. The freedom is it cannot be counted in dollars and cents. It's an endeavor that you'll be glad that you have undertaken. I just wanted to talk today, a little bit. Yesterday in the evening, I had a talk with my father. My father is a Jehovah's Witness, and he lives in the Carolinas. I believe it's Georgia. And I had a talk with him, and I hadn't had a talk with him in years. And the talk we had was long coming, and the reason I want to talk about is it's indicative of how we need to understand what's going on, and it's indicative of how we need to start dealing with people who think they have it together, people who feel that they have the right, or they're in line with the ideas of the Creator, and shunning others. So my father is one of those people. He feels that he is maintaining his integrity to Jehovah by shunning his family members, not associating with his children. And first off, I was offended because to have natural love and affection for your children is a normal thing. That's the reason it's called natural affection. So for somebody not to have affection for their children, or not to have that natural bond that is given to us by the Creator, is something that deeply troubles me. It's the same to me as a person who abandons their child for whatever reason. So that's the issue that I was having with him. And so for a long time, I resented him. I resented the fact that what parent would have the audacity, or would have the lack of intelligence, or the lack of will to shun their child, and what possible reason could justify it. I initially thought it was an issue with selfishness, feeling that what they wanted to do was more important than the needs of a child, or the emotional support. I always kept in mind the scripture that said, a man who does not provide for his own household is worse than a person without faith. And that's the scripture I always had in mind when I thought of my personal father, who doesn't have a relationship with a good number of his children because of his so-called spiritual beliefs. So anyway, yesterday I had an opportunity to talk with him. Now, before I talked with him, I had some ideas in mind, over the duration of my journey, of debriefing myself of the false teachings of Jehovah's Witnesses. I came to understand that many people feel that what they are doing is right, and sometimes we give credence, to those false beliefs by going along with them, tacitly acting as if they were true. So for us to, call ourselves apostates, or for us to call ourselves disfellowshipped, or for us to fall back, as it were, to, I remember there was a time when I would see another Jehovah's Witness, and I was actually shy. I was embarrassed. I would kind of fall back into the background, and they would do the same, because I felt, well, I don't know if what's going on is the right thing. But now, after years of research and study, and support, I understand that what I am doing is the right thing, and that they are participants in a false religion. And if they are participants in a false religion, why do I need to take backseat to the lie? And so that's the point. We, as people who have researched and have looked into things and have realized that what we are actually doing is the truth. We are actually seekers of truth. Why on earth would we take backseat to a lie? And so based on that, my approach is different. I feel that any kind of public declaration or a public statement of faith, if it's known to be false, it needs to be addressed. And so that's how I see it now. So now I don't give credence to anything they say. And so I remember there was a fellow YouTuber. His name was Coach Rod, and he was talking about how we need to take control of the situations that we're in, and we don't let situations control us. We control situations. So in other words, it's not a matter of somebody shunning us. It's more of an issue. If you choose to be stupid, if you choose to be uninformed, if you choose to be ignorant, if you choose not to study in a world where all types of study material are available, if you choose not to know the truth, I feel you are stupid. I feel that you are the one that has the problem. I feel that you are the one that needs to be shunned. I feel, in a way, that you are bad association for me. So when people take the position that they don't want to learn anything and they want to stand by a false position, then they have to be treated as such. We cannot continue to let them have power over us by feeling that they're the ones that are avoiding us. No, the issue is, no, they are the wrong ones, and they need to be identified as such, and they need to be told that. They need to be told, listen, you're a part of a false religion. I have no respect for your religion. I respect what people do, because many people are honest-hearted and they want to help others. But as far as your belief, as far as your organizational structure, I have no respect for it. We should have no respect for a structure that is founded on deceit and lies. So anyway, back to the conversation with my father. We start talking, and I was going to bring it up, but he always likes to bring it up. He says, I look back on the time, when we used to be happy together as a family. He says, it would be nice to, do that again. It was such wonderful times. So I was happy that he brought it up. I said, well, um, the basis, for the conclusion that you've reached, I really feel sorry for you, and I know that you're getting older, but my heart goes out because I really feel that you are a good person, but I feel that you've been misled. I feel that had you put more effort into your studies, had you put more sincerity in actually what you were doing, you would have reached a better conclusion. So I said, I feel it's really sad that you have lost a relationship that a father should have with his children over a false belief. And so that kind of took him back a little bit, because we never really discussed things on this level before, and so um, so he went into the part about dedication. He says, some of us have made a dedication, and they've overlooked that dedication or forgot about it or feel that it's no longer valid, and they've not honored that dedication. And that's another false premise that Jehovah's Witnesses like to throw out there for us. And so I just simply replied that, I did make a dedication, but the dedication that I made was to the Creator. The dedication that I made was not to an organization. And I said, I do feel bad that people have become followers of men. I said, when I think of the organization that you're a part of now, the Jehovah's Witnesses, I reflect back to the Bible verse in Deuteronomy that says, if anyone prophesies in my name and that prophecy does not come true, they are a false prophet, and you must not fear them. And, of course, he was a little surprised. But based on that, the point is, we know for a fact of the hundreds of prophecies that have not come true. We know for a fact that these men do not have the backing of Jehovah. They do not have the backing of the Creator. So why should we fear them? Why should we fear them? He went on to talk to me about the fact that my youngest daughter had gotten baptized. I didn't get a chance to check it out yet, but I said, you know what? I'm really disappointed to hear that. I'm disappointed that she never got the opportunity to, check out for herself what is true. And if she had, I'm sure that she would have made a decision not to get baptized. I'm really kind of hurt to hear that she's baptized at this point. And so, these were just some of the points of our conversation. But the message or the idea that I have, the thought that I wanted to share is that people come to us as if, they are representing the true God. They come to us as if they are right. They come to us with a feeling of superiority, and actually they should be ashamed. So, you have thousands of witnesses out there who cannot defend their faith. When they're approached, and when, listen, let's discuss this. Let's see whether, your doctrines are true. Let's see whether your theories are true. And if you're not willing to listen, if you're not willing to be a flunky or a follower, then they have no interest in discussing more with you. And it's a shame. But, at the end of the day, we also realize that they're taking cues from their leaders. You have never seen a governing body member come out and defend their faith or defend their doctrine. And the reason we don't see it is because they can't. They cannot defend their faith. They cannot defend their doctrine. And so at the end of the day, they really need to be ashamed. And what that means for us is we should not fall back. We have to press on. There are many of us doing good work. There are many of us speaking out, activists as it relates to the Jehovah's Witnesses, and that's what we need to continue to do. Once the pressure is on, we have to press forward, because it's what we're involved in is a life-saving work. And another thing that, in my discussion with my father, we discussed, I said, well, you believe that there is a ruler of the system of things, right? And most people do, most Jehovah's Witnesses do. And his name is Satan the devil. That's their belief. And so if you're not engaged in true worship, you're engaged in false worship, right? And that's just a very simple concept. If you're not engaged in true worship, if you're engaged in false worship, if it's false worship, it's unacceptable to the true God, it's unacceptable to the Creator, then in fact, who are you worshiping? And the answer would be the ruler of the system of things, Satan the devil. So, it's politically correct that, people say, well, you're involved in a form of worship that's unacceptable. You're involved in what's called false worship. No, the answer is you're worshiping a false God. You're not worshiping who you think you are. So I, for one person, I do not accept the fact that there is one God and that we're all worshiping the same God, because we're not. They may be trying to worship the Creator, but their actions and their beliefs show that they're not. So for now, those are my thoughts. I have many more. I haven't been on for a while, but I just have been busy working. But it's just a thought that I want to share. But in any event, I love you all. And, the mission that we have, the fight that we have is a fight for freedom. It's a fight for freeing our minds. I always remember the words of John Lennon when he said, "Imagine no religion." And when we understand how divisive religion is, how evil it is, and the things that it puts people through, we can understand how true a concept it is, how wonderful it would be if there were no religion and nothing to divide us as people. But anyway, love you, and take care. Sherm, and I'm out.